Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. Going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, just live somebody. Let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there, enjoying your day, making it positive, making it everything you need it to be and more. Your boy is still fighting this cold, but we're getting through it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I sound light years better than I did yesterday morning's show. But I am very happy to be here with you guys. We got a lot to talk about. So hopefully my voice stays with me and stays strong. There's a lot to talk about. You see the title down below. I got a lot of questions, okay? We talked about this yesterday. I'm sitting there going like, you know what? We got to talk about this, break this down even more, because now we're getting more information. And this clearly says foul play. This clearly says foul play. And that, you know what? SLED sucks. I said it. SLED sucks. Huge donkey balls. I said it. I don't care. I don't care. They suck. And I'll explain in a little bit. But as you can see in the title down below, it's kind of, you're already knowing what we're going to waltz into together as a show today. There's a lot going on. Okay? So we got to jump into this. We got to get things going fast. So do me a favor as you guys start to file in. Do me a favor. Please hit that like button down below. Send it past 300 likes as you guys start to file in, because I'm going to be jumping into this very quickly because there's a lot to cover. We don't have a whole lot of time. So hit that like button down below. Okay? I'm going to react to some things here really quick. Okay? And please do not forget, if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button. Wow, I actually hit that note. Hit that subscribe button. I'm surprised. I woke up and turned this on and I'm talking to you right now. So I'm surprised that my voice is doing as well as it's doing right now. Okay, but anyway, hit that subscribe button. Support this channel in any way you can. It'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. There's been new developing information out here that we need to talk about it. Okay? Because we need justice for this young man. But I'm still questioning, does this have anything to do with Buster Murdaugh? I got questions, so we got to talk about it. So let's get into it, okay? Appreciate all y'all for being here. Appreciate all y'all for being here. Thank you, guys. I missed, and for some of y'all who haven't been on the show, haven't been watching for a while, I missed y'all, okay? It's been a couple days since I've been on. I mean, you know, yesterday I was on, but it's been a while, okay? So I am happy to be back with you guys and talk about all this stuff. And the thing is whether or not this was a hit and run situation, or if there was someone taking this young man's life by their own hand against his will, there is still foul play going on within the workings of this whole thing. I'm going to explain here in just a minute, but we're going to get straight into the nuts and bolts of it right now. Now, the thing is that we're going with the first part of it, which I find to be absolutely insane. And it is one of the main things. Let me make sure I have the title up here so you guys can see it too. So bang, let's take a look at this. I'm going to make it smaller. But as you can see, an ARC hit was performed on Stephen Smith within hours of his demise. Now explain to me, I mean, you know, like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a detective. I ain't no gumshoe. I'm just some guy with a microphone and a decent camera talking to you guys. Okay? I'm just a guy talking to a camera, asking the camera to love them. So when you look at this whole situation, when I see an ARC hit being performed on a person's body that is known for being a hit and run case, or at least that's what they were putting out there in these streets, right? Why would you And my dogs are asking the same thing. Why? They're like, yeah, why? Why would you have performed an R-kit on a hit and run case? Somebody tell me something, because I'm still trying to understand that piece. Does that make sense to you or no? And don't worry, we're going to be looking at this video here in just a minute, but I'm going to go into the article here, and I find this very weird. Okay? I find this very, very weird. Now, for those of y'all who didn't get the reference, and I do appreciate the Pookie Woos said, yes, the camera loves you back. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a little Notting Hill there. That's a deep cut too, by the way. But anyway, it was a very loose reference. Let me just say that really quick. But I appreciate you telling me that, Pookie Woos. Okay. I'm getting woozy by Pookie. So real quick, before we go into the article, because you know, I like to get into some things. Let me just say this really quick. Phantasmic Ether, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. I appreciate all your support. And just like Phantasmic, you can hit that join button down below and support the channel, or at least consider it. I'm not going to sit there and go, support the channel. Just go and, think about it for like 2 seconds and then hit the join button. It's cheap, I promise. Okay. But it helps keeps these purple lights on. Okay. So thank you. I really do appreciate it. But again, back to the story. R-Kit, make it make sense. This is what they've been saying. Oh, this was a hit and run situation. How dare this person hit this young boy and drive off, right? Yeah, we already know that there's been no sign of any type of hit and run going on. Shoes were still on his body. The way he was displayed in the middle of the road, very strange. No glass, no tire marks, no nothing. Very strange, right? Very strange. And still, yes, you're right. Rex Q, you ain't wrong. All the way from the nosebleed seats, Rex is sitting going, hit and run is a felony. I know. We all know that. And still, no matter what, there should be justice brought for this young boy, this young man. Real talk. It should. I'm with you 110%, Rex. Okay? So still, no matter what, foul play was done here. Whether it is a hit and run or if he was, I hate to say it like this, but bludgeoned to death with a baseball bat. No matter what, foul play is involved in here. And also, SLED, let me say this again, SLED sucks. They dropped the ball tremendously. Was it because of their own prejudice? Was it because this was an openly gay young man? I don't know. I have many, many questions, to be completely honest. But let's get into this article here really, really quick. So an R-Kit was reportedly ordered hours after Stephen Smith's body was discovered in 2015. And what officials initially claimed was the result of a hit and run accident. So South Carolina authorities are now reinvestigating, which we already know. They're reopening everything. They're about to exhume his body, bring him out from his burial site to do more investigation into this situation. Apparently, as we learned yesterday, there were more information that was, I guess something came up that made law enforcement realize that this was a homicide, that this was ruled as a homicide, which is absolutely crazy to me, right? So, and they no longer believe, of course, that he was unalived in an accident. Congratulations to law enforcement in South Carolina for finally picking up the ball that they dropped 8 years ago. But I digress. Michael Duncan, which we're going to be hearing from Michael Duncan here in just a minute, but he's a former South Carolina Highway Patrol supervisor, told News Nation's Banfield during an exclusive interview, which we are going to be listening to in just a second, Wednesday, that troopers were never given the opportunity to present their findings. Duncan was working during the incident, but never went to the scene. He said troopers received a call to stay back. Why? Again, why? Foul play from somebody high up, whether it was, I don't know, someone from a very powerful position. Let's just keep that straight, funkies. Okay. Clearly, this is not right. And again, foul play. So Smith's wounds didn't make sense with a hit and run, according to Duncan. Extremely disappointed. I've never seen wounds like this that come from a car. In totality, it did not make sense why they were calling it a traffic accident. Again, we're going to be looking at the video itself, okay? Because honestly, let's be real. It's a lot better when you hear from the horse's mouth itself, okay? So let's take a look at that, shall we? And be sure to hit the number 1. Let me know you guys can hear this video, because this is something you need to hear. You really need to hear this. Let's go. If you've been following this case, let me just say that. If you've been following this case or been a little bit curious about everything, yeah, you need to hear this. Hit the number 1. Make sure you guys can hear this video. Let's rock and roll.
Well, Corporal Duncan, you're retired now, but you've been on the job as an investigator for decades. And I couldn't understand for a moment why I heard on a hit and run, or even a suspected hit and run, within 13 hours, a rape kit would have been ordered. Have you, in your line of work, doing this kind of high-level investigation, ever seen anything like that?
When it comes to traffic accidents, never. This was the very first time. I did not have an understanding of why it was being ordered.
Oops.
We were not notified until later that it had been ordered. So no, I have no answers for you to why they would order a rape kit for what would be suspected as a hit and run, which it wasn't. But I would never understand that.
Let me say this real quick. Let me just say this for the nosebleed seats. Again, why would they? And of course, I got to cut in and out. Okay. Unfortunately, this is just how YouTube works. But why would they suddenly say, oh, we got to run an R kit on this young man? If they're automatically thinking that this is somebody who is a victim of a hit and run situation. They must have known something. They definitely must have known something before they brought him in, before they knew something. Why would you run an R kit on a hit and run victim, or on an allegedly suspected hit and run victim? That piece does not make sense to me. To me, this still screams foul play. And I do say that, and this foul play is more than just, maybe it was done by the hand of Buster. Maybe it wasn't. This is deeper than just Buster, y'all. This is way deeper than that. And we're going to get into it. I promise you that. Let's continue.
And the rape kit was ordered within 13 hours of the discovery of Stephen's body. Yet in that same time frame, if anybody thought this was anything other than a run-of-the-mill hit and run, you would have been called in with the mate team.
Correct.
To do further investigation. And yet you were called off and a rape kit was called in. Does that square at all?
No, ma'am, it does not. I was puzzled and confused from start to when we actually got to finally pick up the case, why we weren't given the opportunity to, be a part of it from the beginning.
Was mate and your team, or even the South Carolina, highway patrollers, were they ever given any information on what the rape kit yielded or where it ended up?
I know it ended up with SLED, but we were never given any information of the results, or I was not until I retired. Now, they may have an answer now, but as of 2018, we were never given any information of what the results pending, whether it was negative or anything of that nature.
Okay. Again, don't that scream to you something off? She asked, when they ran the R kit, did you guys get the results? He said, no, haven't received anything. As of 2018, never received anything. Still to this day, nothing. We're in 2023, by the way, guys. We're in 2023. And here it is. Let me say this too, because we got to keep it straight funky here. Let's just say they run the R kit and it's zero results. Nothing happened. Nothing happened to the young boy. Let's just say that. The fact that they don't even know that keeps adding more stuff to this cornucopia of effery. It doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you just put the stuff out? But the thing is if it was zero results, they would have been put that out. Trust me, they would have been put that out. I mean, and that, of course, that's me jumping down the world of speculation, okay, conspirizing. But if the R kit showed zero results, they would have been said about it. He would have already had that when he was, you know, obviously he's retired, but before he stepped away from that case. So obviously, at least in my assumption, and this is just me assuming, there's something about that R kit that tells another story that they are trying to hide. And the other question is, if they still have it, where is it? Do they still have it, or did they destroy that evidence? Which could be done, right? At least that's what I would think. But again, it don't make no sense for you to run an R kit on a hit and run victim, supposedly, get the results, but then never show it to anybody, or at least not show it to certain officers that are investigating or a part of this particular case. That's a bit odd, don't you think? Let's continue.
Well, I have a guest coming up who thinks he might have some resolution to that, and it's very distressing, to say the very least. I have other questions I want to ask you about that are equally distressing, and they involve the Murdaugh family as relates to this accident. Stephen Smith's father, who's no longer with us, I believe he died about a year after Stephen Smith was killed. Stephen Smith's father called you and had a specific question about Randy Murdaugh. What was the question?
So it was within a very short period of time that Stephen's father had contacted me and asked me about the law firm contacting him about retaining their services. He was really concerned why they would be calling and wanted my advice. Unfortunately, my rule is, or our rule is, investigators and the police, we do not give legal advice. I told him what I thought, and he basically kind of said in short terms that he was not going to do anything at this point. But it was very unusual to me that within a very short period of time, he was contacted.
I find that a bit odd too, don't you think? Now you got to remember, this is before Paw did his boating accident. But do you realize that they're real quick to swarm around, to circle around these particular cases and show, I don't know, suspicious interest in these particular cases? Don't you find that a bit odd? This accident happens, or not this accident, I'm sorry. This unaliving, this M happens to this young man. And all of a sudden, the Murdaugh family just shows up, starts circling around like vultures, just waiting to descend so that they can pick apart on the carcass of this particular case to save their own family. I mean, let's be real. It's really easy for us to assume that road. In fact, that's how I feel. Something ain't right about this. This young kid loses his life. Obviously, it's done in a very strange way. Lots of questions should be asked, and a lot of questions should be answered, but those don't have anything to do with the Murdaugh family. Yet both Alec and Randy Murdaugh show up out of the blue being like, let's represent you. For what reason? It seems a bit odd. Now, again, it could be Murdaugh family trying to do something nice for this family. But I feel like that's a far-fetched thing. We already know what kind of person Alec Murdaugh is. He's not somebody who has a heart of gold. Let's just say that. So why suddenly have a new interest and obsession, laser-like focus on this particular case? It's a bit odd. I do have a question here too. It is what it is. Thank you so much for the question. Was there something on his clothing to indicate AR? Clothing pulled down or stained? That's a very good question. We don't know that part. At least I don't. As far as the information that we've had so far, they have not said anything. Even these documentaries, the many documentaries, even the Netflix one, the HBO Max one, all of those that have been out so far do not indicate any type of fluids, if that makes any sense. Does not indicate anything. From what I remember, because I watched both of them, like I was on Adderall, okay, hyper-like focus. None of them said anything about something being left on his clothing or anything of that sort. They just say it's very strange how he was staged. It was almost like he was put out on display. And that is what people find strange about this situation. Other than that, this is the reason why I'm shocked that they said that there was an R kit that was performed, because to me, this is news to me. From those documentaries and from articles and stuff that we've seen so far, none of this was ever said about an R kit performed on this young man. Zero. That's why it's shocking. That's why y'all are showing up and tuning in, because you're like, what? What? Foul play. Something happened to this young man. Something happened to this young man. Either he had relations with somebody that was consensual, they got into a fight, and he lost his life. If the R kit does show that there was DNA on his body that wasn't his, that could tell a completely different story, y'all. Completely different story. It's insane. But let me get this. Bad girl, what's up? Thank you so much for the 5. Notice the Murdaugh family is the common denominator around all these tragedies. Get well soon, Pascal. Thank you so much. I'm on the way out of my cold. It's I'm shaking it. You know what I mean? I'm bobbing and I'm weaving and everything with this cold. So I appreciate that. But yes, the first part here, notice the Murdaugh family is the common denominator. Absolutely. Whenever something bad happens, they seem to show up to represent. Haven't you noticed that? It's a bit odd. So I understand why there was a sudden uptick in interest in Stephen Smith's case after we heard Alec Murdaugh talk about Paul and Maggie. We heard all that stuff. We heard that. We saw that. And we go, oh, damn. If he straight up lied through his teeth about these two, and these are his kin, the woman, the love of his life, allegedly. The woman who brought these children into the world with him. If he's willing to lie through his teeth on that, who's to say that he's willing to lie through his teeth to save his pride and joy? Buster. Let's keep it real. Nicole B, thank you so much for the 2. Hi, Pascal. What's up, girl? Glad you're sounding better today. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the love. I really do appreciate it. I do feel better. I promise. I do feel better. But we got to keep telling these stories, okay? We got to keep telling these stories. And I'm going to tell you this too. I know I'm a few days, more than just a few days late on this, but I do have a story to tell you guys in a little while. It's going to be another live, and it revolves around Shanquella. I didn't get a chance to cover it, so it'd be great to have you guys there to hear that as well, because that information that I have is pretty shocking as well. Okay, but nonetheless, let's continue with this. Again, what Bad Girl said is true. Common denominator, Murdaugh. Somebody loses their life and they show up. Maybe there's another cover up going on. Let's get to it. Let's continue.
And then Sandy Smith had reported that they, meaning Randy, had offered free legal representation to that family within 72 hours of Stephen Smith's body being found in the road. And they didn't have a connection to the Murdaughs. They didn't even know what the resolution was yet. They didn't know if it was a hit and run, a murder, and yet a lawyer shows up on their door offering the free legal advice. There was another moment I want to ask you about. Sandy reported that she saw Alex Murdaugh and Alex's brother Randy at the actual scene of where Stephen's body was found as she was driving to the funeral home. Would there be any reason at all for 2 lawyers like the Murdaughs, Alex and Randy, to be at the scene of where Stephen was found dead within such a short period of time?
In my opinion, no. Not if they were not involved in any way. In my opinion, I could not answer why they would be there.
Can I ask you one other question? I don't know if you know this because a lot of time has passed. It's almost 8 years since Stephen was killed. But this was never a closed case. It was always a cold case. It's now heating up. And one of the reasons that it's heating up is that the investigation into Paul and Maggie's death yielded something. And it's a mystery to everyone. A, do you know? And B, do you hear anything about that?
There is something that there are rumors flying out there that I will not get into. But yes, they are. They could be true. They could not be true. But yes, there is something that apparently that has been heard, said, or found that are rumors that are the reason why it's heating up or did heat up.
Thank you for watching.
So there are rumors that are flying like crazy. And we talked about this on the last show, yesterday morning show. So let's keep it real, okay? Let's talk about said rumors. And and it's a lot of this like small town BS, okay? It's very easy for a town to be out here saying certain things, a small town to be out here saying certain things that are not true because of animosity, jealousy, whatever, or because of just pure boredom. But when you see something like this, okay, when you see something like this, it truly doesn't make full sense. When you have somebody out here losing their life, say that there's only connection because they were classmates, but it's not like they were chummy, best friends, etc. But then out of nowhere, the Murdaugh family shows up and says, no, we want to represent him. We want to be there for him, to represent for your on behalf of him. Why? When the investigation was just underway, did they know something that the Smith family and, let's say, law enforcement didn't even know yet? Why would they suddenly come out of nowhere and say, hey, oh, Smith family, we want to be there to represent. We want to represent him on behalf of this whole thing. Wait, they haven't even concocted a case yet. This kid's body, I hate to say it like this, but this kid's body ain't even cold yet. And you guys are sitting here saying, oh, we want to represent. We want to be here to represent. Somebody make that make sense. And don't get me wrong, I get it that some lawyers out here are ambulance chasing lawyers. But do you think the Murdaugh family are ambulance chasing lawyers? They got legacy. They got money on top of monies. They don't need to be chasing no ambulance. So why? It does seem a bit odd, don't you think? Especially now that when you see that the R kit was performed on this young kid, and they've been ruling this as a hit and run, yet they ran an R kit on this kid. And then you got Murdaugh showing up, being like, we want to represent your son. We want to represent you and your son and get justice for your son. Wait, what? How? Wait a second, time out. We're still figuring this whole thing out. Make that make sense, y'all. Make that make sense. We got more. Trust me, we got more. You see the title down below. We got a lot more. So stay, sit tight. Enjoy that coffee, okay? Apparently it was like the first day of spring a couple days ago. So my wife got this ridiculous mug. Yeah, there it is. Shout out to my corny wife. Anyway, cheers, guys. I got a new mug for the spring. Gotta love my wife. So Thunder, thank you so much for the 50. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Pascal, we know you're working hard. Thank you. Stay well, my friend. I'm trying. I am trying my damnedest, okay? I am definitely trying my damnedest, all right? But thank you so much for the 50. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. But there's more, okay? Yes, I love my corny wife, okay? She makes me very happy. So, moving on. As we already know, our kit happened. That's new news that just came to us just now or just overnight. Okay, so I wanted to share that with you guys. But there's more information that's been popping off that I find to be very odd. Okay, and before we go into that, Leo, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So welcome to the family. Welcome to the chaos. All right. So this is the weird thing that's going on here. Okay. Let me show this to you guys. Sorry. I thought I put it up. My bad. Here we go. This part. This is why I said SLED is sucking donkey balls. And I'm going to say it again. SLED sucks. They suck donkey balls. I'm just going to say it. Okay? Yeah. So, South Carolina cops claim they were not asked to investigate Stephen Smith's hit and run. His hit and run demise in 2015, and only learned it was suspicious after Alec Murdaugh's wife and son were unalived. And then, of course, the latter half, which we will be getting to later on in the show. But Smith's mom did write to the FBI a letter. And she was begging for them to jump into this and investigate this situation. She also claims a relationship with Busta in that letter as well. And guess what? We got the letter. So sit tight, okay? We got the letter. Yeah, it's 4 pages of just sugary goodness. So let's get into this, guys. So South Carolina detectives say they were not asked to investigate in this hit and run death, in Stephen's hit and run death, until years later, when, of course, Alec Murdaugh's wife and son were unalived. So they waited years, okay? Years to finally go, oh, there might be foul play. Oh, there might be a case over here with Stephen. Oh, what? But you ran an R kit on him immediately after you found him gone on display in the middle of the road, yet you waited years. Do you understand? Years. Okay? SLED sucks donkey balls. Okay? I don't care anymore. They suck. You're telling me that they just sat on this and they're it's so stupid. It's comical. And these people are out here protecting and serving that town. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry I haven't even gotten into this damn article and I'm already losing my mind. Let's continue. This is so stupid, y'all. This is stupid. All right. In a new statement from the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, just so you know, that's what SLED is, because somebody asked a second ago, what is SLED? SLED is the acronym for South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, okay? So they stated that the agency did not look into the demise of Buster Murdaugh's classmate until 2021, after Maggie and Paw Paw had passed. Let me say that again. They didn't look into the demise they didn't investigate into Stephen Smith's passing until after Maggie and Paw Paw were already gone. That was in 2021. This young boy lost his life in 2015. That's 6 years, y'all. How are we getting justice? Now it's what, 8 years later? And now they're looking into it? Now they decide to stop dragging their knuckles? This is so stupid. SLED was not requested by the Hampton County Sheriff's Office or the South Carolina Highway Patrol to investigate Mr. Smith's demise in 2015, law enforcement officials said in a statement released on Wednesday. Smith's body was found alongside a vehicle on a rural road, can't even say rural road, not far from the Murdaugh's family home. And cops were later tipped off about an alleged relationship between him and Buster. They were tipped off about this. And of course, we already know this. This is all from this documentary, and it's still kind of hearsay rumor right now. Earlier this month, his mother, Sandy, launched a GoFundMe to exhume his body to get a new unbiased look at his body and an accurate determination of his cause of demise based on facts, the fundraiser states. She raised that money. Oh, she did. And they about to exhume his body. Okay? This comes as a letter to the FBI written by Sandy in 2016 has also resurfaced, in which she implicates Buster Murdaugh in her son's demise and claims the investigation was deliberately derailed. And here's Sandy Smith with her son, Stephen Smith. Now, let me say something too, real quick, before we continue. A mother always knows. I'm just going to say that. A mother always knows. It may be it may be intuition, or it may be just talk between a mother and son, but a mother always knows. I'm just going to say that real quick. A mother always knows, fellas. A mother always knows. A lot of times you're like, Mom, what? No, when she was right the entire time. Just saying. Mother's intuition is something powerful. So let's continue. Of course, this young man did not need to lose his life the way he did. So again, we're bringing this to light to bring justice for this young man. But I'm telling you, you run an R kit on a hit and run case, that don't make sense. Where's that R kit? I want to know where that R kit is. We all want to know now that you heard from the horse's mouth himself. We all want to know where this R kit is, because that could be telling us a full new narrative. And that could get us swiftly closer to justice for this young man. That R kit is everything right now, unless it's been destroyed. Unless it's been destroyed. But let's continue. Okay, and of course we already know about this, despite there being no debris in the road and injuries that were not consistent with a hit and run. According to Sandy, SLED did not further pursue the case. In their new statement released on March 22nd, that was yesterday, these pieces of work, SLED officials said at the time they had no reason to suspect anything out of the ordinary in the case. SLED crime scene agents were dispatched from SLED's headquarters and responded to the scene, a statement reads. Upon arrival, SLED crime scene agents processed the crime scene. The statement went on to say it was only after medical examiner Dr. Presnell concluded Mr. Smith died from being struck by a motor vehicle that they were dismissed. So then something's up with the medical examiner as well. If the medical examiner is going to sit here and say that they concluded, oh, it was a hit and run. This young man was hit by a motor vehicle. They said, well, that solves everything, and they moved on. That makes no sense, guys. That makes no sense. Hold on. Yep. Let me say that too. Ray, exactly. If it was negative, they would have run out screaming. We ran an R kit and it was negative. We would have been known that. You see what I'm saying? We would have been known that. Actually, that would have been headlines, I'm sure, in local papers and everything. We ran the R kit, excuse me, and the results came back negative. Nothing was in there. Nothing was going on. He was hit by a car, and that's all it was. That's what they would have been. That's what they would have said. Trust me. That's all she wrote. There it is. Wash your hands clean of it and walk away. But unfortunately, that's not the case here. They didn't say anything. So the results, someone knows the truth about what happened to this young man. Someone knows it. I say outside of the person who actually took the life of this young man. I'm saying law enforcement officers know what happened here. They know. They're just keeping it on the hush because they're probably getting paid. They on somebody's payroll. Trust. They on somebody's payroll. So they say, due to the medical examiner's determination, the Hampton County Sheriff's Office requested that the South Carolina Highway Patrol, SCHP, to investigate Mr. Smith's death. SLED was not requested to the Hampton County Sheriff's Office or the South Carolina Highway Patrol to investigate Mr. Smith's death into 2015. That changed, however, in June of 2021 after SLED opened an investigation into his death due to new information. Upon review, officials say it then appeared Smith did not die from a hit and run. Oh, go figure. From SCHP's case notes, it was apparent that the SCHP did not believe Mr. Smith's demise was a hit and run by a motor vehicle. SLED's investigation into the death of Mr. Smith was never closed. It remains a homicide investigation, the statement reads. Well, that's a big surprise, I'm sure, to the family as well. The investigation remains ongoing as Smith's loved ones continue to push for the truth to come out. And what's funny is this kind of reminds me of Shanquella Robinson as well. Beautiful soul. A lot of bad things happened to her in Cabo, Mexico. And you got a family that is doing everything they can. And if I'm correct, South Carolina as well, right? Or am I getting stories mixed up? But they're from South Carolina as well. Hold up. Now I feel like an idiot. Right? Ain't they from North Carolina? Man, North, South, you know what I'm saying. Okay, but it does make you think of the same situation. A young person losing their life, and then it just sits there. It just sits dormant, basically. It just ends up being unsolved, an unsolved mystery. Dun, 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 dun. You know what I'm saying? And that's all it does. We all talk about it. We obsess about it. We come up with our conspiracy theories and our thoughts on this whole thing. Yet you still don't get justice for it. It just sits there. Now, this is a family, same situation, working their butt off to try to get any type of acknowledgement and any type of movement into this investigation. But clearly, that's insane. Especially with all this new information that's now coming out. Again, this stuff is coming out 8 years later, y'all. And they didn't really start looking into things until after the demise of Maggie and Paul. Why? Still another question is why. Hold on, I got a couple super chats, or I got a super chat here I want to get really quick. S Dubs, what's up? Thank you so much for the 5. I don't think all the stolen money was for Alex pills. It was a payoff to get rid of said R kit. Everyone is that. I think everyone in that family. Okay, everyone in that family lies. Get well, S Dubs. That's a good. I mean, it's a fair theory. It's a fair theory. I'll tell you what. That's a fair ass theory. You ain't wrong with that theory. I'll tell you what. I mean, it's fair. You got to remember, I think SLED is on some people's payroll. I don't know who payroll they are, but let's be real. This is not vehicular manslaughter. Okay? Definitely not vehicular manslaughter. This is something where he got like a baseball, something. I hate to get all graphic like that, but we are going to get into the letter here as well in just a minute. Emily Biz, thank you so much for the 5. I appreciate thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you so much. But there's a lot going on here that doesn't fully equate to a hit and run. This all screams foul play. There is no reason for them to run an R kit on this young man unless they saw something when he was laid out. That's the only thing I can say. And maybe this information that they haven't put out, that they didn't put out at first, is now leaking. It's now being leaked. And I mean, shout out to Ashley Banfield for breaking that story, for bringing in that information. You know what I'm saying? Because that's huge. That's huge. And I hope that this kind of information, this stuff of this R kit being that they really performed an R kit on him, shakes the story. Okay? Shakes this whole thing back into the front of this whole, in the front of everybody. Hence the reason why I'm doing this show right now. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be covering this story or this new information as well. I mean, come on. This is huge information. This clearly shows something ain't right. And I say, again, payroll, guys, payroll. Okay. So the detectives say they hope that people are now willing to speak freely than they might have been in 2015 or 2021. And that's a good point. I feel like there's a lot of people that are going to be very, very scared, or at least during that time, because they know that the Murdaugh family or anyone else that's involved is very powerful and could just call one of their goonies, you know what I mean? And just go up there and, pew pew, something like that. Do the same thing that happened to Maggie and Paul. So I don't blame people for being scared and being quiet. If you got a family that powerful, I'd be scared too. But hopefully, given the fact that he is behind bars, hopefully that gives witnesses or anybody that may know some more information the strength to step out, the confidence to step out and speak on behalf of Stephen. So, of course, we already know all this information here. So, Sandy and her lawyers have always stated that they do not believe Smith was unalived in a hit and run, but rather that he was unalived elsewhere and his body was placed there. We also heard that from that retired officer as well. The mother's fundraiser to exhume her son's body has far raised more than $92,000. The initial goal was $15,000, and I get why. A lot of people are now getting hip, getting savvy to what happened. There, of course, when we were watching Alec Murdaugh in that trial, you start to learn a lot more. So I could see why people would go in there and try to help fund for this cause. She and her team are hoping to get an independent autopsy that will confirm their suspicions. In interviews earlier this week, Sandy's lawyers said they believe the truth could come out with their own research. Absolutely. And if you notice, this happens on so many cases where you actually get real truth on what happened to your loved one when you do your own independent autopsy. And I say this to every single last one of y'all. If you ever have any type of inkling that your loved one, that whatever happened to your loved one was suspicious in any kind of way, go and have your own independent autopsy performed. And if you really want to know, the truth, hopefully that independent autopsy will confirm or deny what the other autopsy said, okay, what the results were. But real talk, that's how we live nowadays. It's unfortunate. And yes, I did say thank you to Thunder. I did, but I'll say it again. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem using this. Thank you again to Thunder. I appreciate the support. I read it out loud and everything. You know what I mean? Thank you so much, Thunder, but I'll say it again. Okay. So I just say that's just how we live now. Look at Shanquella. I'm sorry for going back to Shanquella 15 times over, but look at Shanquella. If the family just said, oh, okay, it was alcohol poisoning, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. If they did not perform their own independent autopsy, we would not be where we're at right now with that case. Yet at the same time, I wish we were further along with that case, to be completely honest. But let's continue. So, moving on. There is more, of course. Now, there is a letter, okay, that Sandy Smith wrote to the FBI. And the thing is like, this is very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. Because she wrote this years ago. And maybe this is the reason why there is rumor circulating around with Buster being in there and all that. But as you can see, Stephen Smith's homicide case, she sent a letter. The mother sent a letter to the FBI. She IDs Buster as a suspect in her son's unaliving. So let's take a look at this article real quick. And then, of course, we got the letter itself, which we'll take a quick look at as well. So Stephen Smith's mom fired off a letter to the FBI about mishandling her son's death investigation, saying he was murdered for being gay and naming Buster Murdaugh as a possible suspect. So Sandy Smith sent a 4-page letter to the FBI in 2016, hoping the agency would take over the case from local South Carolina authorities, whom she believed had covered up critical evidence in the case. And yeah, we can clearly say now that there is cover up. We can say that without a shadow of a doubt. Because where's that R kit, baby? Where are the results of that R kit? If that's not out, clearly there's cover up going on. That's why I say the SLED sucks and donkey balls. Okay. As you know, Stephen was found unalive in the middle of, well, we already know all that. Okay. So in the letter obtained by FITS News, I guess, FITS News, Sandy wrote, Stephen's older brother, Christopher, was told by a classmate that Buster allegedly unalived Stephen with a baseball bat because Stephen was gay. Buster was the eldest of convicted monster Alec Murdaugh, who is serving now life in prison for taking the life of wife and younger son. Now, this is a new one. Okay? This is a new one because we've only heard, let me say this because this is new, just so you know. Instead of it being a romantic relationship, I'm still here, guys. Just because this isn't just because they say a romantic relationship does not automatically mean that it is as such. It doesn't. Okay? This literally says that now they're saying, and I'm sorry, my camera's going to be kind of acting a fool, okay? Just so you know. So just ride with me, okay? I got to get a new camera. But they're saying that now they're saying it was because he was homosexual. That to me screams hate crime. That Stephen Smith is a victim of a hate crime. That's it. She wrote this letter and she said that Stephen's older brother was told by another classmate that Buster allegedly took the life of Stephen with a baseball bat simply because he was gay. Now, it could be that they had, we can go down the world of speculation and get all crazy with our conspiracies and all that. It could have been a thing, because you got to remember, if they ran an R kit on him, why? What happened? Why? Okay? Like, why? You see what I'm saying? It just... This kid could clearly be the victim. I mean, clearly, to me, it's a hate crime. That's what I call it. It's an HC, because I got to use these code words now. Okay? Summer, thank you so much for the 10. Pascal, look up the senior quote from his high school yearbook. Sus as F. You know what? Let me check that out. I'll look it up here in a little bit. But as you can see, clearly something is not right. You got another person that's saying that, like another classmate is telling the older brother that this is what happened and Buster did that. Now, there could have been something going on between them, and maybe Stephen wanted to out Buster. Let's just say that. Buster was not cool with that. And then, of course, we find Stephen, as a result, unalive in the middle of the road. That could very well be it. Or it could straight up just be that he just hated the fact that he was happy in his own skin, that Stephen was happy being out, being who he was, being his true self. There's a lot of possibilities with that there too. Okay. So just saying, when you see something like this, I'm still here, guys. But when you see something like this, it does scream to me like something that this was a hate situation. Okay? Straight up and down like 6 o'clock, y'all. Straight up and down like 6 o'clock. Okay? So let me get this camera back on. Sorry, guys. It gets really warm in this it gets really warm in this room. So I think it's just the camera overheating from the heat, you know, got a lot of lights on and everything. So let's get into this. Let me see. Hold on. Let me look up this really quick. Let me look up this. What Summer said. His senior quote. Let me see. Let's see if we got that. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, wow. That's weird. Let's take a look at this, guys. That's a bit weird. Hold on. In fact, let me just save it and then hold on, guys. Trying to pull this up so you guys can see this. Take a look at this. That's some wild-ish. This is from, wow, that's weird. So that's Buster's. That's weird. Never let the fear of striking out get in your way. Babe Ruth. What? Now, let me say this, just to be fair. This could be a coinky dink. But then at the same time, maybe not. That is odd. Okay? That is very, very weird. I will say that. That's kind of creepy. And if this young man lost his life the way they say he lost his life, this is very, it's disturbing, y'all. It is very, very disturbing. Long story short. Wow. That's a new one. I haven't seen that. So, wow. That is crazy. There we go. Let me get back to this, though, to the meat and potatoes. Okay? But yeah, that is some weird stuff. That is wild. Never. What was that again? Let me get that right. What did he say again? Never let the fear of striking out get in your way. That is kind of, I don't know. I got like the way to interpret it. It says things. There's layers to this one. You know what I'm saying? Okay, moving on. That's crazy. But Summer, thank you so much for for that information. Yes, isn't it ironic? Don't you think, Rosa? That is crazy. That yeah, and Raven, yeah, way too many coincidences. Okay, it is a coinky dink for real. But it's hella ironic, hella ironic. Unless he was trying to say that like he was hiding in plain sight. But I digress. Let's continue. Let's get back into this. But that's wild. Okay, guys, that is super wild. Okay. So again, she writes in this letter that Stephen's older brother, Christopher, was told by a classmate that Buster allegedly unalived Stephen with a baseball bat solely because of his sexual orientation, because he was out. And again, they could have been having some things on the DL, and maybe he wanted to tell the world. Buster was trying to cover it, or it could be straight up because he was just gay and he didn't like that. And that was a big problem. And those things do actually exist. Straight up HCs solely because the person is gay, because of the color of their skin, because of their religion. It doesn't matter. There are HCs out here in these streets all the time, and it could very well just be that. Okay? Because I know it could be really easy for us to go into the world of, get into tabloidy world, but it could very well be straight up and down like 6 o'clock because he was just straight up gay. But then you also got to remember that there was an R kit performed on this young man, on Stephen Smith. So it does make you wonder, was there an R involved before he was brutalized? That's another question as well. Okay. So Sandy said Buster and the classmate were smashing mailboxes. Wow, I said this yesterday, didn't I? So they were smashing mailboxes around town when they came up upon Stephen, and Buster seized the opportunity. Didn't I say this? I said this on the last morning show. That they were probably, these kids were just being idiots, hanging out the side of a pickup truck, blazing down the road, smashing mailboxes because kids are stupid, and then saw somebody walking down the street and just, book. You see what I'm saying? And look, right here. So they seized, this is what she's saying. Smashing mailboxes, and Buster saw this as an opportunity. She also claimed Buster threatened to unalive the classmate if he spoke out about what happened. Interesting. The information was allegedly turned over to local investigators, but nothing ever materialized. How fitting. How convenient. So it could have been as simple as them driving down the road. They saw him. Oh, there's Stephen. And boop, like that. I hate to say it like that, but it may have been just like that. And maybe it was an accident. They didn't realize that they hit him as hard. But that's stupid for you to think that you wouldn't severely, if not take the life of somebody when you're going top speed and you're swinging at somebody's noggin. You're going to hurt them, if not kill them. That's so stupid. I guarantee if that's the truth, they were probably pounding tall boys. You feel me? What's more, Sandy said Stephen was apparently dating someone from a prominent family in the county who was hiding his sexuality. Aha. But Stephen kept the person's name under wraps. Remember, like I said earlier, okay? Like I said earlier, a mother's intuition is nothing to be played with. Nothing to be played with, ladies and germs. Okay? So splammo. Exactly. Boom. Exactly. Bad girl. And okay? Shout out to one of the best mods ever. Okay? And Debbie, of course, too. But I'm answering to you right now. Motive. Pew pew. Motive. Right there. But the only thing I say right now is they would have to have proof. But this is when the cell phone comes into play. You see what I'm saying? But why does it have to be 8 years later, y'all, that we are now looking into cell phone data, looking into exhuming his body, doing all this stuff? This stuff should have been done long time ago. There is cover up. SLED was under some Murdaugh or somebody higher up's payroll, and they just buried this case. So I am so for this family getting justice. But someone from a prominent family in the county was hiding their sexuality, that Stephen Smith was having a romantic relationship on the DL, on the down low. And he was not saying anything about it, which could give somebody motive or inspiration to do some unthinkable thing to Stephen to cover their own truth about themselves. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Sandy alluded, let me get this to you guys. Sandy alluded to a secret romance between Buster and Stephen in the letter. The same allegation was highlighted by their former classmates in a recent Netflix series about the Murdaugh M's. And then there's this. We already know Alec Murdaugh's brother, Randolph, called Stephen's dad immediately after his son's demise, asking to work the case pro bono and act as an intermediary between the Smith family and police, according to Sandy. Randolph was the county solicitor at the time. Why would he want to be the one to be the correspondent between the family and the police? Why would he want to jump in the middle of it? That is very strange to me, guys. That is extremely strange to me. Again, I repeat, make that make sense. To me, that makes no bloody sense whatsoever. This still screams at me. Well, I was going to say foul play, but Rosa just said it. Super sus. And that SLED should have been doing their job, but they weren't. And somebody was really trying to get their hands, somebody in the Murdaugh family was really trying to get their hands on this case so that they do not, so that they can have ways of being on top of the case, knowing if there's any new movements, and if they have to cover up anything, if they're hot on somebody's trail, so on and so forth. If Buster did what they say, what they're alleging Buster to do, Buster did a very, very bad thing. Period. Okay? Period. So Sandy said Stephen's father accepted the offer, although he was confused as to why Randolph wanted to help and how he found out about this case before his son's body had been identified. That doesn't make any sense either. But Sandy said Randolph stopped calling her family after a few interactions and wound up not representing them at all. Now, that to me is a bit odd, guys. This kid's body had not even been identified, and he was already calling the family. Tell me that doesn't scream to you suspect, suspicious. That screams to me big time suspicious. Suspicious. Okay. So we have the letter here. Here is the letter. Okay. To me, this is crazy. To me, this is absolutely crazy. Okay. So we got to get into this letter, which, you know, basically I gave you kind of the rundown in this in this article from TMZ. But yes, Ray, I totally agree. 110%. Him guilty. Him guilty. Him guilty. Okay. And if you think him guilty, please use the, if you're a member, by the way, please use the him guilty emoji. I'd love to see that in the chat. Okay. But real talk, this is crazy. So it's 4 pages of stuff. Okay. And my camera goes out. It's all good. We're going to keep rolling. I'll just have to turn it off and turn it back on. It's just overheating for some strange reason. But, dear sir or madam, my family is in desperate need of your help. My 19-year-old son, Stephen Nicholas Smith, was murdered on July 8th, 2015 in Hampton County, South Carolina. It's been apparent from the first week of this investigation that authorities are covering up critical evidence, and we no longer know who to trust. And that's a terrible thing to feel. Let's just be real. You don't know who to turn to. You can't even talk to anybody. Everyone's a suspect in this little town. Everyone is either on payroll or knows what happened or was involved in this. That's crazy. Stephen's father, my ex-husband, who is now deceased, and I were first told that our son was shot to his demise. First, he was shot to death after running out of gas in the early hours of the morning and exiting his vehicle. Later that day, we were told it was a hit and run. So at first they told him he was shot, and then later they told him that it was a hit and run. That's crazy. Finally, investigators determined he was beaten to his demise. He was attacked so violently that the entire side of his face was rebuilt with putty for his funeral. That's terrible. Hampton investigators asked us at the time to continue to publicly say it was a hit and run. Why? Why would they have to continue to say that it was a hit and run if they don't think it was? That's insane. They claimed they didn't want the unaliver to know they were looking for him. They have no named suspects, or they have been no named suspects. The first call my family received after the unaliving, or the M, was from authorities notifying us of Stephen's demise. The second came very quickly the same morning from solicitor Randolph Murdaugh. Randy. Okay, Randy. In fact, he called my ex-husband's cell phone as we waited in the police station for a positive identification. He said he heard of the case and was interested in working pro bono as a liaison between the family and investigators, which we already know. So in other words, he was calling them way before they were even getting the identification of their son being gone. Okay? Stephen's father accepted the offer, although we were unsure why Mr. Murdaugh wanted to help us. We also weren't sure how he found out so quickly, even before it was confirmed to be our son. Surprisingly, after just a few interactions, Mr. Murdaugh stopped returning our calls. Within days of our son's demise, Stephen's twin sister, Stephanie, was approached multiple times by peers telling her that solicitor Murdaugh's nephews were responsible. Nephews were responsible, plural, not one, but two. As a family, it was suspicious to us since he had taken such an immediate interest in the case and then became unreachable so quickly. These suspicions reached new heights weeks later when Stephen's older brother, Chris, was approached at work by a young man he did not know. This person told Chris was present when Stephen was unalived and witnessed everything firsthand. Okay, so now, if this person is actually a real person, where are they now? Because now is the time that they need to show up and speak up. He said that Murdaugh's nephew, Randy, okay, Randy's nephew, Buster, who graduated with Stephen, beat Stephen to death with a baseball bat. He claimed it was because Stephen was gay. Stephen was in fact gay. The witness said they were out smashing mailboxes when they came upon Stephen, and Buster seized the opportunity. The young man told Chris that Buster threatened to kill him if he ever spoke up. This information was given to investigators, but nothing has come of it. So you have all this information and they didn't do not one damn thing. That's insane. And real quick, I haven't done it yet. I haven't asked this from you guys yet, but if you guys can do me a favor, hit that like button down below. That would really, really mean a lot. Okay? Just, give it some love. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Give it some love. That would be greatly appreciated. Love seeing everybody in here. Okay? Love to see it go past 800 likes. Okay? And real quick, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. All right? You can come here to talk about all kinds of things. We talk about everything on this channel. So if you're a first-time viewer of this show, please hit that subscribe button, okay? Working hard out here in these streets. Also, Summer, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. I appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay? I appreciate it. And just like Summer, consider becoming a family of Consider being a family member by hitting that join button down below. Okay. Thank you so very much. Okay, guys. But I'd love to see it go past I'd love to see the likes go past 800 likes. Okay. We are reading this letter for the very, very first time. We are finally getting the truth from the mother. And let me tell you again, a mother's intuition is everything. Okay. A mother's intuition is everything. They know all. Let's be real. All right. Okay. Let us continue. Okay. And you know what? Yay to over 1,000 souls being watching the show today. Thank you so much for being here. It really does mean a lot. And my camera's going to be going in and out. It's a piece of trash. I hate it right now. But I'm going to continue reading the letter. Camera will come back on in just a minute. Okay. So now what's wild to me is what we've read so far. If there was any information from this person, an eyewitness, basically, that saw everything firsthand, why haven't they spoken up? Why haven't SLED done anything about it? Oh, I forgot. I know why. Because SLED sucks donkey balls. Okay? Just saying. SLED sucks and donkey balls. All right? So let's continue. In reviewing a copy of the 911 dispatch log, which I have enclosed tab A, page 2, I found that the first responding officer, Bridges, arrived on the scene within a minute of 911's dispatch, even though in the Hampton County Sheriff's Office incident report, he claimed to have driven around for a while trying to find my son's body. The second officer, Eubanks, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, arrived within 2 minutes. This is suspicious to me because the area where my son was placed is extremely rural. Cops do not patrol that area frequently, and it's not likely an officer, much less two, would coincidentally be patrolling there prior to 5 a.m. They had to be in that area at that time for a reason. I suspect they were there because they already knew Stephen was there. And I suspect the Murdaughs were the ones who told them. Payroll. The Murdaughs, continuing, the Murdaughs are probably the most prominent family in Hampton County. Stephen Stephen had on more than one occasion mentioned to friends and his twin sister that he was involved romantically with someone from a prominent family in the county who was hiding his sexuality. He said that it would shock people to know this person was gay. We suspect this could be the young man Stephen was referring to, though he never named him. Now, the thing is I wonder how many other prominent families there are in this county, in Hampton County. Because let's be real, if they're the only, because she says the Murdaughs are probably the most prominent family in Hampton County. If that's the case, I just wonder who's like second place. You know what I'm saying? Who else is? You know what I mean? Who else? is on the ranks. But, I digress. At the beginning of the investigation, officers told us that they would not have access to Stephen's text messages for approximately a year. They claimed that they would have to send the phone to Apple to override the security features. We found out months later the phone had never been sent to Apple. That's weird. Often investigators claimed it was uncertain which department had the phone. They have since produced the phone, which they still have not sent to Apple, but still claim they cannot access it. We feared then, and still fear now, that they have and will continue to delete critical information from the phone. It has already been over a year, and we have no knowledge of who Stephen interacted with by phone call or text prior to his murder. Now, the thing is that's so crazy. Like, that piece right here is huge. So you're telling me that they went through his stuff, they got his cell phone, they said, oh yes, man, we're going to send it over to Apple because we don't have any technology that helps us hack into his phone. So we're going to send it over to Apple. But then Apple never got it. Never received the information, never received his stuff. But then they continue to claim that they cannot access his stuff. But then what's weird to me on top of that too is like, understandably, the family's thinking that something's going on here. Understandably, okay? Totally understandably that they think that something else is going on here. Clearly, to me, something else is going on here. But I also say, if they are deleting things, I hope to God that Stephen was using his cloud, because a lot of things get saved in the cloud. I will tell you that. And, his phone records don't really get deleted. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So something in this situation is not right. Okay. Clearly, since the murder, Buster has gotten rid of his old vehicle, which is critical because, according to the witness who approached Chris, they were traveling in Buster's old vehicle that night. It's also critical because Stephen was found 3 miles from his vehicle on the morning of his unaliving. There was no blood splatter on the crime scene, despite his brutal beating, which makes it clear he was transported to that site. We believe there is DNA in Buster's old vehicle, and I think so too. I think it's important to note that Stephen's wallet was found in his own vehicle and his gas cap was open, further suggesting he did not leave willingly. That's very interesting as well. Stephen was very skittish and would never have walked down the road in the dark. And it's not likely he would have opened his car door to accept assistance from someone he did not know, especially alone on a dark country road. He was even known to walk through the woods during the day to stay out of sight. His autopsy shows his toxicology reports were negative from drugs and alcohol. So I have no reason to believe he would have done something so completely out of character. Again, you got to be real. This mother knows some things, and she ain't dumb. If she knows her son, she knows her son. And what we're hearing here is, yes, he wouldn't have just walked all willy-nilly through the woods, down a lonesome, dark country road, one just with his cell phone and not with his wallet. That doesn't make any sense. He must have been on the side of the road, looking at his, trying to figure something out. Maybe he was on his phone. Maybe he was about to make a phone call, something of that sort, while Buster and one of his boys was driving down, knocking down mailboxes with a baseball bat, saw him, seized the opportunity, knocked him over his head, realized that they really hurt him, grabbed him, thinking that maybe that they can go save him or something. They started driving. He perished in the car, and then they dropped him in the middle of the road. That's just an assumption, right? Maybe they realized, oh my God, we just did this thing. Holy crap. I didn't it was supposed to be a joke, man. It was supposed to be a joke. Maybe it was that. But then, lo and behold, this kid was not dumb. And she even said he would have done a shortcut through the woods to stay out of sight, to not find himself on the side of the road, finding himself in trouble. But his wallet was still in the car. His wallet was in the car, guys. That doesn't make sense, y'all. It doesn't. But let's continue. And I'm sorry my camera keeps going in and out, but it's just going to be what it is for right now, guys, okay? But I'm still reading this. We're still part of this. Don't forget to hit that like button down below. That would really, really mean a lot, okay? We're almost at 800. Hit that like button down below. Give us some love. That would really, really mean a lot, okay? And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, all right? Let's continue, okay? But it's still strange. And then you do have something here where they say that there was an eyewitness. There was an actual eyewitness that saw all of this. So why are they not investigating and interrogating that witness like crazy? Why weren't they doing that before? Why they wait 8 years later to do something? This clearly says foul play. Clearly, something wrong happened. It just doesn't make any sense. Okay? And she even says it. All of this would have been he wouldn't have done anything out of character. There was nothing in his system. The autopsy report, the toxicology reports show everything zero. He was sober. Nothing was in his system. So it wasn't like he was just drunk on vodka, walking around acting like a damn fool out here. No, he was sober as a judge. Okay? So let's continue. Since Stephen was placed on the highway, it became a highway patrol investigation. We thought this was beneficial to Stephen, since local authorities obviously have their own agenda. However, this does not help our case at all. This case was mysteriously bounced from investigator to investigator without reasons or notification. It would repeatedly get to a certain point when then the assigned investigators would blow out, perhaps not wanting to take on solicitor Murdaugh, Randy. Interesting. I was approached in September 2015 by a gentleman claiming to know about a criminal case decades ago that was swept under a rug to protect a different member of the Murdaugh family. Interesting. This came as no surprise to me. I see history repeating itself with my son. No one here is trying to solve our case. Therefore, I contacted Governor Nikki Haley that same month with a plea for help. I wrote her a letter telling her basically word for word the story that I've just explained to you. She responded promptly and assigned the case to new investigators. While it appeared to be an answer to our prayers, very little progress has been made, and they say they have exhausted their leads. That's trash, in my personal opinion. I cannot fathom how that is possible. Our concerns regarding Solicitor Murdaugh and his family have not been investigated despite witness accounts, which include an alleged conversation between a schoolmate of Buster's little brother, Paul, and school officials. I was told he claimed to have knowledge of the murder and implicated Buster as that monster. Those school officials were said to have discussed the statement with the student's family, not police. Why? Again, why? We have heard no further follow-up to this situation. Interestingly, according to my source, Paul was transferred from that school to a private school after the alleged statement. What the hell, y'all? What the hell? What the hell? Does that make sense? What the hell? So they talked about it. They brought it up to light. School officials got into it, found out. They brought, and instead of actually reporting this to the police, they went to the Murdaugh family? What? Someone, my Lord. Someone make this make sense, y'all. What? Okay. Why would you? All right. We believe Murdaugh's influence extends to the pathologist, Dr. Presnell of MUSC, who performed Stephen's autopsy, though Deputy Coroner Kelly Green and SLED agent Brittany Burke, who are both present for the autopsy, have gone on record to state that neither made any mention of a car striking Stephen. Dr. Presnell ruled the death a hit and run. Interesting. She was combative with the Highway Department investigator Proctor, regarding her findings, when he pointed out that the only trauma was to Stephen's head. He asked how she came to that conclusion, and she said it was because he was found in the road. That alone was her reason. Like somebody explained that to me. That was her only reason. Her only reason was because he was found in the middle of the road. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. This is stupid. Well, because what happened was, since you know, what if somebody died of cancer and you just place them in the middle of the road? You're going to sit there and say, oh, he died from a hit and run because he was found in the middle of the road? What? This is so stupid. Whack, y'all. This is whack. All right? Whack. So she insisted hit and run despite the fact that neither his injuries nor the crime scene support that finding. The coroner disagrees with her determination, and it is documented multiple times in the case file that there was no skid marks or vehicle debris consistent with a hit and run at the crime scene. Dr. Presnell herself confirmed to investigator Proctor that she found no glass or other fragments on the body to suggest a hit and run. It is simply not possible that a vehicle struck solely his head. Oh my God. Coroner Washington informed investigator Proctor that Dr. Presnell told him she would, quote unquote, change her report to read however he wanted. Copies of investigator Proctor's summary notes, which document his discussions with Dr. Presnell and Coroner Washington, are enclosed. We desperately need your help. The investigation is being deliberately derailed. We need someone to hold the investigators accountable. Yes, because they on a payroll, and access Stephen's phone. Solicitor Murdaugh is widely known, and it appears this is playing to his advantage. We need someone who doesn't care about his family name to take this case seriously. In July 2016, I wrote to Attorney General Lynch in hopes that she could and would help us. But there's been no response. That's terrible. I have enclosed the key documents I mentioned above, but I can provide copies of all the case documents I have at your request. We also have new information which we discovered in the past few weeks that we feel is critical to this case. However, I no longer trust the investigators here. I'm holding it as I await your response. I could be reached at this particular number. I thank you immensely for your time and help. Sincerely, Sandra Smith. This is absolutely insane. This is absolutely insane, guys. And this is real. This is really happening. She just gave us beat by beat, moment by moment of what has been going on with the deep dive into the investigation, or actually the lack thereof investigation into her son's M. And there's so much corruption going on here. This doesn't make any sense. And actually, this is a very well-written note. This is a very well-written letter, which was written in 2016, guys. Let me just show that to you guys. September 28th, 2016. And you got somebody out here. You got so many people in that county that are on somebody's pay grade, or at least were intimidated. Were intimidated or feared so much that they were told to avert their investigations on this young man. Now that we have this information, okay? Now that we have this information that has just recently come out about the R kit and the fact that no one really even knows the results of the R kit. And now we see this letter that was written years ago, by the way, 7 years ago, begging for the FBI to step up and be a part of this, get involved in this stuff. You can't help but look at this and say there is most definitely full-on foul play. Now, if this witness that they're saying was there and knew that Buster did this by his own hand, that person needs to be brought in and investigated or interrogated with the quickness, because they are obviously withholding some very crucial information. But again, as soon as they tried to bring this up, they brought it up at school. School officials got involved. They got into the middle of it, and they brought the parents. They didn't report anything to the police. That doesn't make sense. You got people sitting here saying, no, we know that he took the life of somebody. And instead of them actually going and reporting that to the police, which is what they should have done, they brought in the Murdaughs. They brought in families. Because what? You think that you can handle this internally as a family affair when this person just committed the ultimate crime? That makes no sense to me, guys. Again, this whole thing screams foul play. It definitely does. Now that we have more information, because I know yesterday morning, I had questions. Now I don't got those questions no more. I'm telling you, a mother's intuition is something else. Don't get me wrong. The mother, she's getting pieces of information. She could be wrong on certain things, so on and so forth. But let's be real. She knows for a fact that her son's life was taken against his will. Something unjust happened to this young man. That is it. Whether it was by Buster's hand or by the friend that was there, no matter what, foul play went down, and it goes way beyond just two people. There are people that are on pay grades or payroll, or they're scared out of their minds because they know how powerful that Murdaugh family really is. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that they finally get some. We just got these out now. So I'm hoping that with that R kit that they talked about, this letter, the new information about how they said that the cops, the SLED was asked not to investigate this case right here. Let me just show it to you guys again. They were asked not to investigate. That's wild, y'all. If that doesn't say foul play, cover up, people are on somebody's payroll, then I don't know what is. But that letter does say a lot. And that R kit, if it's still around, says a lot as well. One other thing, too, I want to show this to you guys real quick, too. I'm not going to read this article, but I wanted to read this title to you. So Stephen Smith's family claims cops think 5 or 6 people know what happened that night. Okay? That's what they're claiming. They're claiming 5 or 6 people know exactly what happened to this young man. And I'm telling you, more people know this. More people know what happened, more than just 6. I'm telling you right now, the coroner knows, any of those investigators know, all them people, all of them, okay? They all know more than they're letting on. And again, let me show you that one more time. That part that she said, man, that's some crazy stuff. Where was it? Right here. Let me just show this to you guys. You got a letter, and in this letter, they're saying, okay, it was simply not possible that a vehicle struck solely his head. That doesn't make sense, right? How does a truck or a VW, whatever it is, how did it get fly into the air and just hit him in the back of the head, solely his head? That's insane, right? That math makes sense. But right here, it says it's simply not possible that a vehicle struck solely his head. Coroner Washington informed investigator Proctor that Dr. Presnell told him that she would, quote unquote, change her report to read however he wanted. What? Payroll. Higher ups are paying these people to finesse and lie and cover up this young man's demise. Period. So my thoughts and prayers go out to the family, because as this information comes out, hopefully we'll get closer to the truth. And let me be real. The truth always comes to light. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all for being here. Thank you so much for being here. Femme Fatale, thank you so much for the £5. Pascal Murdaugh Murders with Mandy Motley is a podcast, interviews so many lawyers and original state trooper involved with the Stephen Smith case. I'll take a look at that. Thank you, Femme Fatale. I'll take a look at that for sure. Okay. But that is the show. I do appreciate all y'all for being here. I just wanted to bring this truth out. I really do hope that we get excuse me, some justice for this young man. And by bringing this story out, hopefully it does as needed. Okay. So before I get going, please do me a favor, hit that like button down below. That would really, really mean a lot. Okay. And of course, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. All right. And also hit that notification bell, because I do have some pop-up videos and I have a live going on later on this evening that I want to talk to you guys about. It has to do with Shanquella. We need to talk about that even as well. Okay. And there's more information. There's some crazy stuff that's come out a few days ago, but because I was sick, wasn't able to really talk to you guys about it. So I want to talk about it tonight. Okay. And I feel like tonight is the best night to do it. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Do not forget to hit that notification bell. Okay. So that, if you haven't been getting my notifications, turn it off. Turn off that notification bell and turn it right back on. Okay. It's as simple as that. All right. So anyway, it's time to get going. I appreciate all y'all. Thank you guys so much for your super chats and your support, and the new members. Welcome to the Pascal Show family. Okay. Anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys in the next video. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.